The story begins with Amaizumi waking up, snoozing his alarm and wanting to go back to sleep. However, he just realizes that it's already 11 a.m. and decides to wake up. But to his surprise, he notices a blonde hottie named Hamasaki, who's rocking at least a G-cup lying next to him. Without any hesitation, she grabs his hot dog, saying that Amaizumi surely wants her to touch it considering how he has been looking at her with his lustful eyes. Following that, the two of them begin kissing each other, causing another girl named Sasaki to mock them for being already in heat this early in the morning. Sasaki then starts kissing him as well, making sure to choke him using her tongue, while all Hamasaki can do is watch them in shock. She eventually confronts Sasaki, asking what she's doing, to which Sasaki replies that it's her usual good morning kiss. Hamasaki then questions why she's kissing him before her, causing both of them to argue with each other. Their argument causes Karamazaka to wake up, who yells at them to shut up, asking why they are in their full gear so early in the morning. Apparently, Amaizumi has been living with these girls, and it all started when Hamasaki asked him if he lived alone and barged into his house with an invitation. Before he realized, his house had become a place for them to hang out, and day by day, they started to get physically closer to him. Finally, about a month ago, the girl succeeded in swiping his V-card and leaving no balance inside. Back in the present, Karamazaka calls Amaizumi out and reminds him that he is supposed to be having lunch with Ada and the others. With that being said, Amaizumi wastes no time getting ready and lets the girls know that he's off, promising to finish his super spicy ramen. Hamasaki wishes him good luck, later discussing how he has been really excited for this day. After he's gone, Sasaki decides to go home for lunch, and so does Karamazaka, who wants to go get some clothes, while Hamasaki decides to stay at Amaizumi's place. At the restaurant, Amaizumi slurps some spicy ramen, and his reaction to the spice makes the other boys question the gender they are attracted to. One of them mentions that he doesn't look like a man at all, later reassuring him that he's just joking, and that he can continue eating. After they are done, Amaizumi says goodbye to his friends and walks home. After he's gone, one of the boys kicks the shiny head who made fun of Amaizumi, telling him that he's really thoughtless. He then elaborates that Amaizumi lives alone and mentions that his rocket most likely can't launch. The baldy starts feeling bad for calling him unmanly when Amaizumi's already going through this condition and decides to apologize later. Meanwhile, Amaizumi is on his way home and remembers always being called feminine by others. Apparently, even his dad told him to learn from his friends and suggested he live alone so he can become somewhat of a man. Back at home, Hamasaki is watching a video related to lipstick and decides to buy one next time when Amaizumi returns home, informing her about the pudding he bought from the convenience store. After he gives her the pudding, Hamasaki asks him about the spicy ramen, but after seeing the look on his face, she asks what happened and suggests giving a welcome home hug. Amaizumi makes sure not to miss this golden chance and instantly gives her a nice tight hug. Following that, he tells Hamasaki what happened and that he knows his friend didn't mean any offense, but it still made him a bit depressed. This reminds Hamasaki of the time when she was going back to her classroom to pick up her notebook and heard the boys of her class calling her a vixen. They further discussed about Hamasaki being a magazine model and that she probably screws around with some other model guys. Just then, one of the boys asked Amaizumi if he thinks the same way, but to her surprise, Amaizumi replied that he doesn't think Hamasaki is that kind of person. This made them call Amaizumi a virgin, but he told them that it's not okay talking about girls like that behind their backs. However, it didn't stop them from teasing him even more, while all Hamasaki could do was stand outside the class in shock. Back in the present, Hamasaki wonders what being a man really means and tells Amaizumi that hugging relieves 1/3 of the stress, wondering what effect kissing might have. With that being said, the two of them begin getting close to each other, ultimately locking lips, followed by Amaizumi pinning her down on the bed. The next day at school, everyone is told to change their seats, and the seat Amaizumi ended up getting was right next to Karamazaka. She told him to take good care of her, to which he agreed. Back at home, the girls discuss not telling anyone at school about their relationship with Amaizumi. Hamasaki questions the reason behind it, telling others to ignore if anyone says anything about it. Karamazaka replies, saying that if the school finds out about their relationship, they might inform Amaizumi's parents. Hamasaki argues that his parents let him live alone so he could become more manly, and seeing him living with 3 girls will definitely make them proud. Sasaki also adds that it would be a problem if they found out, as they could force Amaizumi to stop living alone. Karamazaka agrees, saying that this is the world thing that could happen, so they need to make sure to keep this a secret. The next day, Hamasaki accused Kuromazaka of pulling some strings behind the scenes to make Imezumi sit next to her, to which she replies that there's no way she can pull something like that off. This makes the other two wonder if she's planning to sit next to him all year around, but all she says is that she'll be the one sitting beside Imezumi. Hamasaki begins yelling at her, asking if she can even act like a regular classmate around him. But their fight is interrupted when Imezumi enters the room. Hamasaki asks what he was doing up until now, to which he replies that his friends have been asking where he has been taking his lunch these days. This makes Sasaki wonder if they should limit having lunch together 2 times a week, but Hamasaki suggests cutting the chit-chat as they only have half of their break time left, and starts by hugging Imezumi, asking if they should get started. After the break, Imezumi notices that he ended up not eating his lunch and decides to eat it during the next break. Just then, Kuromazaka calls the teacher and informs him that she forgot her textbook, asking if she can share it with Imezumi. The teacher agrees and Kuromazaka ends up joining her desk with Imezumi. Afterwards, she puts her hand on his thighs, apologizing for the trouble. Slowly, her hand begins crawling towards his monstrosity, making him think that he knew something like this might happen when he found out that she was going to sit beside him. Imezumi then begins to wonder if she's really going to play with him during class, and realizing that he might not be able to hold it in, asks Kuromazaka to stop by writing it in his textbook. However, she totally ignores him, forcing Imezumi to write a bunch of other stuff as well. But then Kuromazaka also writes about him not wanting her to stop. This makes Imezumi look around and find both Hamasaki and Sasaki fast asleep, not paying any attention to him. Furthermore, she whispers into his ears, telling him not to be scared as she'll make sure to apply the right amount of pressure. After the class is done, Imezumi is totally drained from top to bottom. He then notices Kuromazaka taking everyone's notebook to the staff room, and their classmates keep on giving her more stuff to carry. Eventually, he decides to help Kuromazaka by carrying the notebooks instead. Seeing him trying to help makes Kuromazaka question if he thinks carrying all the notebook by himself makes him appear manly, to which he agrees. Kuromazaka can't help but laugh at him, letting him know that what he's doing is making him more kind, not manly. Imezumi gets a bit annoyed and starts walking away, saying that there's nothing to laugh about. Kuromazaka then advises him not to force himself to become manly, as she will make sure to turn him into the best man he could possibly dream of. A man who is confident and proud, she promises to keep her word. With that being said, she clings onto him, wanting him to escort her to the staff room. Imezumi lets her know that someone might see her, to which Kuromazaka replies that no one is interested in her anyway. At Sasaki's house, she is being lectured by her brother, who tells her not to perform the deed with someone unless she really likes him. Sasaki replies that if he keeps on giving her lectures every day, she'll end up doing the opposite of what he's saying. Her brother elaborates that if she takes the rod of a guy she doesn't like, she'll eventually fall in love with him, thinking that she's not an easy woman. When Sasaki asks if he really wants her to believe this, her brother replies that this is exactly how he gets women. Later that day, Sasaki is waiting for Imezumi, and soon after, he arrives, asking if he made her wait. Sasaki gets flustered a bit and suggests walking around for a bit, as they have time before the movie begins. Apparently, Hamasaki and Kuromazaka aren't home, so the two of them are going out to watch a movie. Turns out Sasaki is a magazine model just like Hamasaki, and she caught attention when Hamasaki's older sister posted a picture of her on Instagram. Imezumi was happy for her when he heard about it, but now looking at her this closely, he can see that she really is a hottie. Additionally, when he's alone with Sasaki, it's a bit uncomfortable for him as he feels like there's a wall between them. Just then, Sasaki holds his hand, asking why he is walking slower than an old fart with a cane. To start things off, Imezumi suggests going to eat some parfait, where he notices a cheap tissue box for his pleasure activities and decides to buy it on his way back. Following that, they go to a clothing store where Sasaki tries on a bunch of clothes and eventually buys the one Imezumi likes. Then, the two of them go to a cafe to eat some parfait. Eventually, it is now time for the movie, and Imezumi buys some popcorn for the two of them. However, Sasaki mentions that she needs to go take a dump, asking Imezumi to go ahead and find his seat. With that being said, she walks to the bathroom while Imezumi stands there, thinking how they really do have a wall between them. Once inside, Sasaki takes off her hat and thinks about the tingling sensation she gets every time he smiles. She then wonders if it's because the two of them are on a date, and ends up remembering his smiling face again. Additionally, she thinks that it might be because she has already gotten pumped by Imezumi and ultimately walks out of the bathroom where she notices Imezumi still waiting for her. This makes her question him why he didn't go ahead, to which he replies that the two of them came to the movies together, so he thought she'd be sad if he left her alone. Sasaki is shocked hearing this and walks away, saying that she will go find her seat, and adds that she's really glad he waited for her. While they are watching the movie, all Sasaki can think of is the advice that her brother gave to her and figures that she might end up falling in love with Imezumi at this rate. Following that, she notices him tearing up watching the movie and ends up holding his hand. Imezumi looks at her in shock, but decides to concentrate on the movie while Sasaki begins smiling, thinking that she doesn't mind falling for him. The next day, Imezumi is sleeping peacefully, enjoying the wet dream he's having. Curious, Hamasaki tries to see if Imezumi wakes up if she makes him headstand, while Karamazaka tells the girls to look at her neck, telling them that Imezumi gave her a love bite. Hamasaki mentions that she was the one who asked Imezumi in the first place. When she begins wondering if she did, Hamasaki calls her an idiot with 30 IQ and starts messing with her by honking her honkers. Sasaki also adds, saying that Imezumi might get really excited if they dress him like a lady. The others seem to like this idea and suggest punishing him like this, betting that he'll be crying tears of joy. Hamasaki then decides to look for dresses, and Karamazaka pulls up her phone to search for some hot outfits for Imezumi. She then questions if they should look for full clothes or some lingerie, to which Sasaki replies that she'd choose something which would be comfortable for everyday use. Just then, Imezumi gets on top of Sasaki, still half asleep, and begins squeezing her melons. Additionally, he makes his way towards her kitty, causing Sasaki to ask why he thinks he's putting his hands. Wondering if Imezumi is still asleep or actually awake, Hamasaki tries getting him off of Sasaki. Meanwhile, Karamazaka puts another sticker on the punishment card and Hamasaki begins waking him up for real, saying that it's punishment time. Later that day, Imezumi takes out some bread from the ATM and returns home. There, he notices that the girls are outside and decides to have a talk with them once they get back. Just then, he notices Karamazaka changing her clothes and freaks out, apologizing and letting her know that he thought she wasn't there. However, Karamazaka smirks at him and asks why he's apologizing and if he thought she'd get mad if he saw her getting changed. Imezumi replies that she won't really get mad, to which Karamazaka replies that it's punishment time now. Just then, Sasaki appears behind him and grabs his arms, followed by Hamasaki letting him know that it's punishment time. She then shows him the punishment card, telling Imezumi that he has already accumulated 5 punishment stickers. When Imezumi mentions that it's his first time seeing this, Karamazaka adds another sticker for his previous mistake. Imezumi argues that she told him he didn't have to worry about it, and Karamazaka says he surely wants to be punished as it has some new pleasures for him as well. Furthermore, she asks Sasaki if the stocking is ready, and she agrees. After that, Hamasaki begins unbuttoning his shirt, telling him not to be so nervous, and starts by kissing him. Eventually, after they are done kissing, Hamasaki suggests getting started and begins pulling down his pants, revealing the monster sleeping within. Karamazaka also gets closer, promising to show him a good time, and Imezumi gladly agrees. Following that, he informs the girls that the budget is tighter than a single mother's wallet and that they only have 3,000 yen for the next 20 days. Sasaki also realizes that the cost of living has gone high because there are now 3 people beside him and wonders if it can be solved if each person contributes 10,000 per month. But Imezumi replies that he'd feel bad if they do. Sasaki doesn't seem to like this response and tells him that they'd feel bad if they don't. Afterward, he shows them his bank passbook, making him realize that his wallet's getting thinner than expected. Sasaki mentions that if her and Karamazaka contribute 10,000, they can cover it while Hamasaki can cover the remaining expenses. In the end, Karamazaka puts her Platinum American Express card on the table, allowing him to use it. However, Imezumi refuses, saying that he doesn't even know how much there is in it. This makes Karamazaka want to add 5 more stickers, while Hamasaki advises him to just accept it as him arguing won't change the outcome. Furthermore, the girls tell him that it's alright as Karamazaka is the daughter of the president of a big cosmetic manufacturer company. Additionally, she also designs cosmetic products targeting young people and is a genius at making hit products. This is why they can let her cover the expenses. As for her, it's like taking a bucket from the ocean. Sasaki also says that she's no ordinary student as she has her own aura, while Hamasaki makes fun of Karamazaka for having the look of a 30-year-old veteran on her face. Ultimately, Karamazaka tells him to just accept it, and from that day onward, Whenever he goes out shopping, Karamazaka always follows him and makes sure he pays using her card. This makes him realize that his wallet isn't running out of money, but as expected, he feels bad for using her money. In the end, he decides to return her prepaid card and walks in the house, only to catch her in the midst of changing clothes once again. Without thinking, he ducks but quickly remembers that he wasn't supposed to do this, as she told him not to worry about it last time. Karamazaka asks if he wants to return her card, to which Amaizumi agrees. This results in her reminding him that he'll get punished if he talks about it, and takes out the dress she'll be forcing him to wear as a punishment. Later that day, the other two girls return home, discussing how Sasaki's thighs have been hurting lately, and Hamasaki advises her to skip jogging sessions. Sasaki apologizes to Hamasaki for the trouble, and she tells her not to worry about it, telling her to take a break if skipping jogging doesn't help. However, after opening the door, they come across Karamazaka playing dress to impress with Amaizumi. When Hamasaki asks what they are doing, Karamazaka replies that she's punishing him for returning her card. Hamasaki further asks about the type of punishment, to which Karamazaka replies that it's cross-dressing. This makes Sasaki suggest putting on some makeup while they are at it, and the other girls seem to like the idea. After they are done, the girls mention how putting makeup was a great idea, while Amaizumi argues that it's kind of embarrassing. They then begin reassuring Amaizumi that he looks pretty hot, complimenting his slender legs. Furthermore, they start asking him to lift up his skirt, making Amaizumi realize that they are completely ignoring his plea. Ultimately, Hamasaki tells him to roll it up with both of his hands and begins doing it herself when he seems reluctant. Amaizumi tries to stop her, saying that it's embarrassing, but Hamasaki tells him to stop resisting, promising to roll up her skirt to make things fair. This statement activates a neuron in him, and he instantly agrees. With that being said, Hamasaki decides to roll it up, but stops for a second and comments on how this is starting to turn her on as well. Karamazaka lets Hamasaki know that she can't take a picture because she is in front of him, which results in her getting behind Amaizumi and finally lifting up his skirt. The girls stare at his junk for a good minute and begin laughing, saying that his commando is ready for battle. Sasaki also falls onto the ground laughing, mentioning that the difference between his slender body and the thick rod is outrageous. Amaizumi gets embarrassed and pulls his skirt down, letting the girls know that he got excited because he's wearing Karamazaka's underwear. This causes the girls to laugh even harder, questioning why Karamazaka made him wear her own undies. At this point, Sasaki is rolling on the ground, laughing, and after they are done, Sasaki mentions that she's hungry and suggests eating out. However, when Amaizumi asks if he can change now, Hamasaki lets him know that he's going out in that outfit. Amaizumi tries to refuse, but Hamasaki reassures him that if she puts more makeup, no one will be able to tell that he's a man. When Amaizumi continues to argue, Hamasaki tells him that in order to become a good man, he needs to be good with women, and to be good, he needs to understand their feelings. Karamazaka also gets closer to Amaizumi, promising to give him a reward if he goes out dressed like that. As expected, the cultured fellow instantly agrees, while the other girls advise him to think about it a bit more before coming up with a decision. Elsewhere, a girl tells Kei to get going, but he asks her to wait a little more. Apparently, he's Amaizumi's brother, and he came to check up on him. When the girl questions why he's not going to Amaizumi's apartment like a normal human, Kei replies that she doesn't know anything and elaborates that Amaizumi always says he's doing good, but that doesn't always mean he's good. Just then, he notices Amaizumi coming out of his apartment with a bunch of girls. He hears Karamazaka talking about wanting to stop by a karaoke, and Sasaki suggests eating a rice cake as well. After Amaizumi leaves with the girls, Kei screams in shock, causing the girl to inform him that he looks like a complete idiot. But Kei replies that it doesn't matter, as his brother is currently being cross-dressed by the baddies, and now they are taking him out to the city. He further questions what kind of situation this is and realizes that it's far worse than what he had expected. Kei has figured out that the girls are taking advantage of Amaizumi because he lives alone and is using his apartment as a hangout place. After he's done cursing the girls for taking advantage of Amaizumi, he tells the girl named Mayumi to follow him and starts running after them, completely unaware of the strange girl who had been eavesdropping. Apparently, her name is Mary, and she's a self-proclaimed servant of Karamazaka. Mary used to be a delinquent with an uncontrollable desire to cause destruction until she met Karamazaka. Her beautiful eyes felt like she was pulling everything towards her. Whenever she saw Karamazaka, Mary felt his destructive impulses calming down, and instead of beating other delinquents, she started yearning for rewards that Karamazaka provided. Currently, she is keeping an eye on Kei and is sure that she might get a reward from Karamazaka for it. On the other hand, Hamasaki is teasing Imezumi at the restaurant but gets called out by Karamazaka, who confronts her for picking on her girl. But Hamasaki replies that they have slept together, so she is her girl. At the same time, the waitress arrives and notices the girls fighting over who Imezumi belongs to. Sasaki tells them to stop as Imezumi seems to be troubled by them, and Hamasaki ends up asking the waitress if she looks good with Imezumi, to which she agrees. This causes Karamazaka to grab the waitress's arm, asking if she looks better with Imezumi instead. Just then, her phone begins to ring and the person on the line turns out to be Mary. She informs Karamazaka that they are being watched by a couple, which comes as a shock to Karamazaka. Mary then asks if she should take care of them, but gets told to calm down by Karamazaka, who then asks Mary to bring those two in the restaurant instead, to which Mary agrees. While Kei and Mayumi continue watching Imezumi from afar, they notice someone getting closer, eventually picking the two of them up. She then begins sprinting towards the restaurant. On the other hand, Hamasaki and Sasaki are still deciding the drink they want to order when Mary appears, telling Karamazaka that she brought them as requested. To Kei's surprise, Karamazaka calls him out by his name and gives him the deadliest side eye. Confused, Kei questions how she knows him, and Karamazaka asks Mary to do the thing. This results in her taking a picture out of her bag and informing Kei that she saw them lurking around Imezumi's apartment and ended up doing a background check just in case. While the other girls can't believe Karamazaka was making Mary do all this, Imezumi appears, surprised to see his older brother. Kei tries to greet Imezumi normally while Karamazaka advises him to sit down so they can have a talk. Following that, Kei confronts the girls for forcing Imezumi to wear that outfit, but Hamasaki replies that even though they pressured him a bit, it was all consensual in the end. Kei argues that it must be because Imezumi can't express his true feelings, but Imezumi interrupts, letting Kei know that this is a part of a play. Additionally, he tells Kei that even though he understands his perspective, he still wants everyone to stay at his house, causing the girls to get flustered. When Kei further inquires about the situation, Imezumi tells him about the reward he might be getting, and Hamasaki agrees, saying that they will let him do whatever he wants with them. Kei doesn't buy this until he takes a look at Imezumi's face. Karamazaka then asks Kei if he agreed with his parents' decision to kick Imezumi out of the house and asks why he couldn't say anything if he was this much against it. Furthermore, she whispers in his ears, telling Kei that Imezumi belongs to her and her friends, and if he wants him back, he'll have to be well prepared. Lastly, Imezumi also asks Kei if he could keep this from their father and begins begging him not to say anything. This comes as a surprise to Kei, as Imezumi has never asked him for a favor. Ultimately, seeing him surrounded by 6 basketball-sized jugs, Kei decides to head home. But before leaving, he tells Imezumi that even though he is still not convinced, he'll keep his mouth shut in front of their father. Imezumi thanks Kei while he tells Mayumi to hurry up so they can go. However, Karamazaka interrupts Kei, suggesting they exchange contact information as it might make him feel much safer. Afterward, Imezumi is glad that Kei forgave him and notices Karamazaka talking about how she never thought she'd be able to recruit a member of Imezumi's family, saying that this outcome was unexpected, causing Sasaki to talk about how sometimes she becomes a total freak. With that being said, Karamazaka calls Mary's name and gives her a hug as a reward. Mary instantly freaks out and begins obsessing over Karamazaka and how good she smells. Furthermore, she begins requesting more hugs from Karamazaka, while the others look at them concerning looks on their face. After returning home, Imezumi is drained dry by the baddies, but they are still not satisfied and lets him know that they are not done with him yet. Following that, Hamasaki gets on top of Imezumi, telling him that he needs to play with them a bit more, and seeing those melons bigger than his face against his chest, Imezumi can't help but agree to their request. The next day, he asks his friends to help him increase his physical fitness, causing him to wonder if he got motivated after watching some sports stuff. However, Imezumi gets flustered while replying, making him question why he's getting so shy. The badly figures that Imezumi yearns for a ripped body like his, causing the other friend to tell him otherwise. While the two of them are busy arguing with each other, the third friend begins thinking hard and asks Imezumi about the kind of body he wants to have. He further elaborates, asking if he wants a body that specializes in instantaneous power release, a well-balanced body having both power and endurance, or just the endurance type. After hearing these choices, Imezumi begins thinking hard and tells him that he'd like to have both instantaneous power and endurance. Following that, Imezumi returns home, thinking that he needs not only to train his body, but to have a good diet too. With that being said, he gets motivated and decides to do his best, only to run into Karamazaka on his way home. When he asks her about the others, she informs him that they are jogging around the neighborhood. Imezumi questions if they are jogging to maintain their body, to which she agrees, saying that those two used to play basketball and probably like to move their bodies a bit. This comes as a surprise to Imezumi, and Karamazaka informs him that their team was so strong that they even made it to the semifinals in the national championship. Additionally, Hamasaki was selected as the best basketball player in the country. This makes Imezumi wonder why they didn't join the basketball club, which causes Karamazaka to get silent all of a sudden. She then mentions that during the semifinals, Sasaki got injured, and Imezumi figured that it must be the thigh pain she always talks about. Apparently, Sasaki wanted to continue playing, but was told by the doctor that her Achilles tendon will break again and again if she continues. So, in the end, she quit playing basketball altogether. Just then, the two of them return and greet Imezumi. Furthermore, Hamasaki mentions that Sasaki is improving little by little, which Karamazaka finds to be amazing. Sasaki also adds that she will be as strong as LeBron's pinky toe in no time, but gets interrupted by Imezumi, who asks if he could jog with the two of them starting tomorrow. Sasaki seems surprised by it, and he mentions that it's so he can build strength. In the end, Hamasaki likes his dedication and decides to take him with them starting tomorrow. With that being said, they started going jogging together, and Imezumi made sure to exercise with them as well. Every day, he kept improving little by little, and Hamasaki made sure to keep him motivated as well. One day, she noticed him getting out of bed early and decided to follow him. After she went outside the apartment, she noticed him exercising on his own. This comes as a surprise to her, causing her to comment on how handsome he looks. Just then, Imezumi notices Hamasaki looking at him and greets her by saying good morning. However, Hamasaki scolds him for not taking the day off, to which he replies that he wanted to move his body a bit. In the end, she tells him to wait a bit as she'll go jogging with him as well. Imezumi gets excited, thanking Hamasaki, and as they start jogging together, all she could think is her wanting to be by his side. The next day, Sasaki dreams of the day when she met Hamasaki for the first time in elementary school. Hamasaki made fun of her grimace-shake-colored hair, saying that she'll mop the floor with her. Sasaki replied that she didn't want to hear that from a rude blondie. Back in the present, Sasaki wakes up and finds Hamasaki in front of her, asking how deep of a sleep she was in. This makes Sasaki mention how energetic Hamasaki is, to which she replies that it's because today they are going to have a basketball match. On the other hand, Imezumi swings the bat in the zestiest way possible and ends up getting dismissed as he missed 3 balls. He then apologizes for not being able to hit the ball, but gets told by the baldy that their team can't hit that striker's ball. Just then, one of the boys mentions that their girls' basketball team has made it into the all-woman basketball finals, which strikes the discussion about the basketball team being strong enough to make it to nationals each year. Suddenly, the baldy suggests watching the girls' basketball match as well, to which Imezumi agrees. Elsewhere, the opposing team member named Goriki is told their match is against a team with players within the top 4 of junior high, but Goriki replies that they all look messed up. Soon after, Hamasaki tries talking to Goriki, asking why she is wearing her basketball uniform. Goriki questions if she has to join the club just because she likes it, and Hamasaki refuses, saying this is why she's not joining the club either. Additionally, she asks Goriki to go easy as they only have Fukada on their team. But Goriki replies that one wouldn't make much difference as she and Sasaki are in the team anyway. However, Hamasaki lets her know that they are in an idol research club, and if Goriki's team go all out on them, it'll be really hard. Goriki also says that they can't afford to lose and tells Hamasaki to do her best, to which she agrees, saying they'll just wing it from here. This causes Goriki's team to talk about Hamasaki not looking really motivated, but gets told by Goriki to focus as their coach is watching. With that being said, the match finally commences, and Mary manages to stop the ball from going in the net and passes it to Hamasaki. Kunai tries tackling Hamasaki, but she easily gets past her, causing Kunai to realize that she's pretty fast. But she still doesn't give up and tries her best to stop Hamasaki, but to her surprise, Hamasaki ends up passing the ball to Sasaki, who scores a 3-pointer with ease. Everyone begins cheering for her, and Hamasaki also compliments her. Kunai can't believe what she's seeing and realizes that they really were the top 4 in the country. This makes her wonder why they aren't in the basketball club, and gets interrupted when Goriki tells her that she'll watch Hamasaki, asking Kunai to go for Sasaki. Furthermore, Goriki asks Hamasaki if they are messing with them by saying that they'll just wing it, but actually trying hard. Additionally, telling Hamasaki that she will tell her the difference between their current and the past basketball team. This results in Hamasaki telling Goriki that she can't lose either and will turn the tables. At the same time, Imezumi arrives in the gymnasium and notices that the point difference is 12 points. Hamasaki also seems to be struggling as Goriki isn't leaving her alone and ends up passing the ball to Mary, who ends up doing a foul because she doesn't understand the rules and gets scolded by Hamasaki. Kune mentions that she thought it might be close, but they only need to deal with 3 of them. Kuramazaka realizes that they'll be 20 points behind by the second half and is aware that it's going to be really difficult to get more points. In the end, she decides to use Mary and whispers something into her ear. On the other hand, Goriki still continues targeting Hamasaki, asking if she isn't going to make a comeback. Hamasaki tells her to shut up and passes the ball to Kuramazaka, making Goriki think that Hamasaki is panicking as she's passing the ball to someone who's not even in the club. Kuramazaka tries her best to score a point, but the ball ends up hitting the rim. Out of nowhere, Mary appears and dunks the ball, catching everyone by surprise, including the enemy team. She then mentions that she's starting to understand basketball, and everyone begins complimenting her for her moves. While Goriki can't understand how she managed to dunk that high, Hamasaki tells everyone to begin the counter-attack. Following that, Hamasaki remembers the time when she ran into Sasaki during the entrance ceremony. Hamasaki couldn't believe that Sasaki moved to Tokyo, and when Sasaki questioned if she plans to join the basketball club, Hamasaki replied that she has no such plans. But when Sasaki asked her the reason, Hamasaki replied that she wouldn't be able to do her nails if she kept playing. This makes Sasaki call Hamasaki an idiot, telling her that she's so good at basketball, to which Hamasaki replies that she wishes to quit basketball and become Japan's #1 gal. Back in the present, Mary manages to dunk once again, causing all the spectators to cheer for her. Goriki can't believe that it's another dunk and asks Kurosawa to stop her from jumping so freely, to which she replies, telling Goriki to not be ridiculous as Mary is just a plain idiot. This makes Goriki think how Mary has been pushing between the gaps, which makes a perfect duo of someone who's really aggressive with Hamasaki, who's very agile. In the end, she figures that they have no choice but to focus on Sasaki, who already seems pretty worn out. Meanwhile, Sasaki thinks how this basketball team is pretty good, but ends up stealing the ball from Kunai, mentioning that they only have 5 minutes left. Kune freaks out and runs towards the ball, but accidentally collides with Sasaki, causing her to fall onto the ground. This catches everyone's attention, including Imezumi. While Hamasaki runs to check up on her, Sasaki, who's on the ground, begins thinking of the day when she met Hamasaki by the riverside. Hamasaki told her not to come there with her crutches as it's dangerous, but Sasaki replied that she just wanted to look at the river. Following that, Hamasaki asked her if she quit playing basketball, making Sasaki wonder if she heard it from her brother. Ultimately, she confesses that she doesn't want to hate basketball, letting Hamasaki know that the doctor told her that if she keeps playing basketball, an injury like this could happen again. If she works hard and trains her strength, only to get injured again, Sasaki wonders if she'll start hating basketball because of this. Additionally, she thinks practice seems really exhausting, and she won't be able to do her nails, which made her think that this could be a good opportunity to quit basketball. After staring at her for some time, Hamasaki mentions that this is the perfect age for getting them guts rearranged, and as she doesn't plan to keep playing basketball either, she suggests aiming to become Japan's #1 gals. This comes as a shock to Sasaki, who asks if Hamasaki is quitting for her sake. But Hamasaki replies that she didn't want to play basketball in the past either and reluctantly joined because Sasaki pushed her to do it. Additionally, it's not fun for her to play basketball without Sasaki. In the end, Hamasaki puts her hand on Sasaki's shoulder, telling her that she and her will always be together, including Kuramazaka as well. This whole conversation makes Sasaki tear up, but gets told by Hamasaki that they could try playing basketball together someday if she feels like it. Back in the present, Sasaki manages to get back on her feet, and when Hamasaki asks if she didn't injure her foot, Sasaki replies that she's fine and Hamasaki doesn't have to worry about it. Additionally, she tells Hamasaki that they have 4 minutes left and are 5 points behind, reminding her that the semifinals were like this as well. Hamasaki mentions that even though they lost back then, they'll win this time for sure. Eventually, only 15 seconds are left in the match and Goriki tells Hamasaki that she will make sure to keep their 2-point lead. However, Hamasaki replies that she has already decided to destroy her and avenge Sasaki for that day. With that being said, Hamasaki receives a pass, and she begins running past her opponent. But instead of dunking, she passes the ball to Sasaki. With only 1 second remaining, Sasaki shoots, and as the ball goes towards the goal, she starts remembering all the good times she spent together with the girls. Ultimately, she manages to score the point, allowing them to win against Goriki's team. The shiny head also mentions how awesome it was and asks Amezumi if he saw that, only to see him bawling. When he asks the reason Amezumi is crying, he replies that he was really touched. The Baldy teases Amezumi for being an emotional guy, but admits that it was a really good game. Elsewhere, Hamasaki compliments Sasaki for being really cool at the end and gets interrupted when Goriki appears, asking why they aren't joining the basketball club. But Sasaki replies that it's impossible as they plan to become Japan's #1 gals. With that being said, they walk away, asking Goriki to try and finish in the top 4. Kunai also appears, commenting on how Goriki got rejected again, to which she replies that those girls are pretty cheeky. The next day, Imezumi along with Hamasaki and Sasaki are lying on the floor with their goodies exposed, questioning why the air conditioner is broken. Hamasaki mentions that they aren't even halfway through summer and wonders how bad it will be then. Furthermore, she asks Imezumi why it will take 3 days to fix the AC, and Sasaki comments on how it gets cooler at night anyway, so if they can just let the day play out, they are chilling. Furthermore, she takes a look at Imezumi and gets closer to him, saying that she really likes the smell of his sweat. Imezumi tells her to stop as it's really embarrassing, to which she replies that it's totally fine, telling him to stop being shy. Hamasaki also wonders if Imezumi's sweat really smells and realizes that she can smell it as well, while Sasaki adds that it's a mild smell, so it's not that bad. But when Imezumi mentions that they shouldn't be smelling sweat like this in the first place, Sasaki asks Imezumi if they smell like sweat as well, asking him to give them a sniff. Without hesitation, he grabs onto her body and begins sniffing her neck, saying that it doesn't smell like sweat. After that, Hamasaki asks him to smell her as well, saying that her armpits must be stinky. This results in him smelling her armpits as well, and when Hamasaki asks if it smells, Imezumi replies that it actually smells quite nice. Hamasaki then calls him a little perv and starts kissing him, making sure to go all the way in. Seeing them lock lips begins making Sasaki excited as well. Meanwhile, Kuromazaka returns home and lets everyone know that she is back. Furthermore, she hears some happy noises coming from the bathroom and goes inside, just to find Imezumi sandwiched between 2 down bad hotties. This ends up pissing her off, and she heads straight towards the cupboard and opens the drawer that contains a water gun. Quickly, she fills it up with tap water and starts spraying Sasaki with it, telling her to say it. When Sasaki asks what she wants them to say, Kuromazaka reminds them that they didn't say welcome home when she got back. Eventually, she gets them out of the bathtub and makes them sit in front of her, followed by her scolding them for not greeting her properly. Additionally, she asks why they were sharing a single bathtub, to which Sasaki replies that they were getting cultivated while taking a bath because they were all too sweaty. Hearing this statement makes Kuromazaka even more frustrated, and she mentions that while she went to school in this heat, they were at home getting their back blown out by Imezumi. In the end, she bans the 2 of them from doing the deed with Imezumi anymore, causing Hamasaki to question which 2 she is referring to. Kuromazaka replies that it's obviously her and Sasaki. This causes Hamasaki to ask why she is restricted when she was the only one who greeted her. While the 2 of them are busy arguing, Sasaki uses this opportunity to start kissing Imezumi once again. Sometime later, Kuromazaka asks if they even know when the repairman will come to fix the AC, and Imezumi lets her know that it might take up to 3 days. Kuromazaka further questions if they will have to pay for the repair, but Imezumi replies that he talked to her mother, who convinced the landlord to pay for the repairs. On the other hand, Kei is chilling at home, using his phone when he comes across a picture of Imezumi cross-dressing and mentions how exceptionally cute he looks. While he decides to use it as a wallpaper, his mother lets him know that she's heading to Imezumi's house, and after she leaves, Kei realizes that he just overlooked something really important. Sometime later, his mother eventually arrives at Imezumi's apartment, curious to see how her son is doing. On the other hand, Kuromazaka questions how they are able to handle this heat, and Hamasaki replies that she's an ex-athlete after all. This makes her suggest going out for a change, as even if they take a bath, they'll just get sweaty again in a matter of seconds. Just then, the doorbells ring and Imezumi wonders who it might be. Kuromazaka asks if Imezumi ordered something, and when he disagrees, they conclude that it must be a salesperson. Just then, Kuromazaka receives a message from Kei, who first apologizes for contacting her later, telling her that his mother is on her way to Amazumi's apartment. She gets confused, and when Sasaki asks her to answer the door as they all are still in their underwear, Kuromazaka lets them know it may be Amazumi's mother. Sasaki tells her to say that again, and Kuromazaka yells this time, saying that Amazumi's mother could be at the door. This statement catches everyone by surprise, and Amazumi decides to go and check on the door. With that being said, he peeks through the hole and sees his busty mother waiting for him outside. Amazumi then informs others that it really is his mother, causing Kuromazaka to curse Kei for being a useless brother. Hamasaki mentions that it's a good opportunity for them to greet Amazumi's mother, but gets shut down by the others. Following that, Kuromazaka suggests the girls hide in the closet, deciding to handle the rest. Out of nowhere, Mary appears on the balcony, asking Kuromazaka if they should go now. Afterward, she ends up carrying Kuromazaka in her arms and jumping off the balcony, making the other girls wonder if they'll be alright. Amazumi then looks down and sees the two of them walking as if nothing happened, while the others are still confused about what exactly happened. Following that, Amazumi's mother continues ringing the bell, and figuring that Amazumi must be out, she takes out the door key to let herself in. This causes both the girls to panic, and all three of them start working hard in order to hide their stuff, eventually managing to hide inside the closet just in time. Just as Amazumi is done putting on some clothes, his mother opens the door and finds him inside. She asked him the reason he didn't open the door when she was ringing the doorbell, to which Amazumi replies that he didn't notice as he was jamming to KSI's thick of it. He then asks the reason behind her sudden visit, and his mother lets him know that she wanted to check up on him and make sure he hadn't got a heat stroke. Just then, her pinky toe gets demolished by the bed frame, making Amazumi realize that she still bumps into things as always. Following that, she notices that Amazumi has been keeping his room tidy as she instructed him, but just then, something catches her attention. She asks if he always keeps his screen door open and tells him that bugs might get inside, and begins walking towards it. Amazumi, knowing that the girl's luggage is on the veranda, begins to panic, and just when she is about to enter the veranda, Amazumi stops her. When she questions why he stopped her all of a sudden, Amazumi mentions that she might hit her toe again and decides to close the screen door for her. At the same time, Hamasaki begins confronting Sasaki for not closing the screen door, to which she replies that she was in a hurry. Unexpectedly, they end up making a sound in the closet, catching both Amazumi and his mother's attention. Both of them instantly look towards the closer, while Hamasaki apologizes to Sasaki for making that sound. His mother then mentions that she heard a sound from the closet, but Amazumi tries to make her believe that it was just her imagination. However, she completely ignores him and rushes towards the closet, while Amazumi tries his best to stop her. She then comments on how panicked Amazumi looks and wonders if he dumped all his trash in the closet so his mom wouldn't be able to find it. But when he disagrees, his mother says that he's lying, telling Amazumi that the sound must be from the trash falling. In the end, she opens the closet door, somehow not noticing the silky soft thighs behind the clothes. After seeing that it's all neat and tidy, she tells him to always keep it clean, so he doesn't have to clean it up at the last minute. Just then, the doorbell rings and Amazumi decides to check who it is. To his surprise, Kuromazaka seems to be at the door, apologizing to him for suddenly showing up. She then returns him a bag, thanking him for lending her his gym clothes. When Amazumi's mother asks who it is, Kuromazaka wonders if it's his mother and introduces herself as Amazumi's classmate, informing her about the gym clothes she came to return. As the two of them continue their conversation, Amazumi's mother takes a good look at Kuromazaka and invites her inside for a drink. Additionally, she warned her about the broken AC, and Kuromazaka replies that she was thirsty anyway. With that being said, Kuromazaka enters the apartment and begins showcasing the sample of her products to Amazumi's mother. His mother finds Kuromazaka really amazing to be working hard at such a small age, and while Kuromazaka enjoys getting praised, the girls locked inside the closet don't find it that amusing. Afterward, she begins talking about the fact that Amazumi lives alone, and his mother mentions that they are having him live alone in hopes that he might become a little more manly. Even though Kuromazaka agrees that Amazumi doesn't seem to have much self-esteem, she further adds that it's one of the good parts about him. Kuromazaka also says that because Amazumi can relate to other people's weaknesses and emotional pain, he is a really kind-hearted person. This comes as a shock to his mother, who remembers the time when she asked her husband not to make Amazumi live alone. But when her husband reminded her that it's so his personality can be improved, she tried arguing about his kindness, but was shut down by her husband, who wanted Amazumi to be a little more masculine. back in the present, while Karamazaka thinks that this is going to raise her points with Imezumi's mother. She gets told that she's such a good girl. His mother adds that she hopes Imezumi finds a girlfriend like her and then decides to take her leave. When Imezumi asks why she's leaving already, she replies that she only wanted to see how he was doing and mentions that he won't be able to confess to Karamazaka if she's here. After she leaves, Imezumi talks about how they somehow made it, but she's too engrossed, thinking that Imezumi's mother might not be their enemy. However, she gets interrupted by Hamasaki, who confronts her for flattering Imezumi's mother, deciding to greet her next time as well. Meanwhile, Imezumi's mother thinks that Karamazaka might be more than a friend and begins walking away, commenting that Imezumi seems to be doing a good job, only to print her face on an electric pole. The following day, Imezumi gets out of the restroom and finds the girls waiting for him, deciding if they should eat ramen at the place where they went last time. Seeing them converse with each other reminds Imezumi of the previous day when his mother told him to do his best, and when Imezumi asked what she's talking about, she replied that it's about Karamazaka, telling him that other boys surely make advancements on a Slay Queen. Additionally, she mentions that if Imezumi takes it easy, Karamazaka might get those cakes hammered by someone else. Hamasaki then notices Imezumi and asks if he's good with eating ramen, to which he agrees. With that being said, they all start walking towards the restaurant, and Imezumi, who's still standing there thinking about Karamazaka's cake, gets told by Hamasaki to hurry up. Soon after, an unknown girl comes up to Hamasaki, and after finding out that she really is that magazine model, asks to take a picture with her. After taking a picture with both Hamasaki and Sasaki, the girls thanked them and walked away, wondering if the zesty boy next to them was their brother. Following that, Karamazaka stops by the cosmetic shop her father owns and asks if the sales are going well. Additionally, she gives a present to the store manager, which makes both Sasaki and Hamasaki mention how dependable Karamazaka is when it comes to stuff like this. Before heading to the restaurant, they end up visiting a karaoke bar where Sasaki's singing skills are praised by Hamasaki. After that, she slams the microphone on the table and begins singing as well, only to be told by Sasaki that her singing style is really weird. Furthermore, she complains about Hamasaki acting as if she's playing piano where there's no piano element in the song. But Hamasaki tells her not to focus on the details and go wild. After they are done with karaoke, Sasaki suggests having dinner now, and Karamazaka agrees. Seeing the three of them together, Imezumi remembers how they started coming to his house and ended up crossing the line with him. However, he is fully aware that he doesn't fit in with them, and that he's nothing more than a pet to them. This is why he needs to work hard and wonders if a day will come when he will be able to confidently walk side by side with them. Lost in thought, Imezumi steps on the manhole cover and slips. While he's sitting on the floor, a couple walk past him, making fun of Imezumi and saying that they feel bad for him. This results in Imezumi laughing a little, thinking that it's natural for people to take him as nothing more than a joke. At the same time, Karamazaka writes something in her notebook, takes that paper out and hands it over to Sasaki, who then gives it to Hamasaki. Ultimately, Hamasaki sticks that paper behind that boy's back, calling him Poop Man. After successfully sticking the paper, all three of them begin laughing, confusing the couple as well. Hamasaki then tells Imezumi that there are a lot of bad people, and he shouldn't worry about what that guy said. He gets up and thanks Hamasaki, but she stops him all of a sudden, asking if he is still bothered by what that boy said. However, Imezumi replies that it's something else and tells Hamasaki that it would be an inconvenience for them all if he was around them. This causes Hamasaki to wonder if he lost the remaining 2 brain cells as well due to that guy's insult. But Imezumi further adds that after spending months with them, he has been thinking about it again and again. He can't believe that those girls are his classmates, as they are really cool and full of confidence. Compared to them, he has nothing special going on for him, and no matter how one looks at it, him hanging around the 3 of them seems pretty unnatural. All 3 of them stare at Imezumi for a second, followed by Karamazaka complaining about his low self-esteem and flicking his forehead. She then asks if he really knows what's inconvenient, and as Imezumi struggles to reply, Karamazaka lets him know that he can't leave her side even if he wants to. Hamasaki praises Karamazaka for being so direct and lets Imezumi know that she will make so much love with him that he'll forget about all the problems of this world. But for now, she invites him to eat some ramen together. Eventually, he grabs her hand, thanking everyone for their kind words. As the 4 of them make their way to the ramen place, Imezumi decides to do his best so one day, he can walk confidently with the rest of them. The next day at the Idol Research Club, Sasaki asks her clubmate named Koharu if she's going to bring the character she wrote, Marcus, back to life, but Koharu disagrees. This makes Hamasaki compliment Koharu for being a mangaka while still attending school at the same time. However, Koharu mentions that it's a monthly magazine, which makes it pretty manageable. Following that, she shows Sasaki an article about her brother, asking if she can't do anything about him. Both Hamasaki and Sasaki begin badmouthing her brother, while Koharu advises Sasaki to be stricter with him or it might cause her trouble as well. But when Sasaki replies that there's no direct damage to them, Koharu lets her know that the reporter might try to stir up more controversies and could target his little sister, that is Sasaki, as well. Ultimately, she advises Sasaki to be very careful with her actions when he's in public. Following that, Kuromazaka asks the other two girls to get going and says her goodbyes to the club president. But just when Sasaki is about to leave, Koharu asks if she is happy with how things are going. This makes Sasaki wonder what's going on, and Koharu replies that she's only asking because it could be a good reference for her manga plot. Sasaki then begins thinking hard and lets Koharu know that she's happy with life. With that being said, the trio leaves and the emo-looking girl asks Koharu to report the situation. Koharu then informs them that the cameraman is secretly taking pictures of Imezumi's family again. The emo girl replies that thanks to that, it's easier for them to move around, and Koharu says that as they have enough material, they should put an end to this soon. Elsewhere, a man wearing a hoodie appears outside Imezumi's house and tells Koharu that he needs to know the exact location. She lets him know that the target is on the 3rd floor near the staircase, letting him know that it's time to finish this. At the same time, their target, also known as a freelancing photographer, is sitting on the staircase, struggling to get any good shots. He then begins thinking how he tried staking out Sasaki, but her just being a magazine model is not much to go on. Furthermore, he wonders why he can't take his eyes off them, but eventually decides not to waste any more time on them. Suddenly, he hears a faint sound of footsteps, and to avoid any interactions, plans to go up to the 4th floor. At the same time, Koharu keeps track of the cameraman using the hidden camera and informs her comrades that the target has moved to the 4th floor. The emo girl receives the information and decides to set up a pincer attack. As the photographer freely walks on the 4th floor, he ends up coming across that girl. Instantly, his intuition begins telling him to stay away from her and turns to run away, only to find the hooded man behind, letting him know that he'll suck his brain juice out with this straw. Having no other choice, the cameraman climbs down to the ground, which the emo girl finds really impressive. While the cameraman is proud of his agility, he notices that girl jumping off the 4th floor like there's no tomorrow and landing on the ground, hitting him with the Ironman pose. Simultaneously, a van stops right behind him with a musclehead who tells the cameraman to come with them. At this point, he can't believe what's going on and looks behind, only to see the girl warning him to get inside the car as she doesn't want to play rough. Following that, he is taken to an abandoned building and tied to a chair. The cameraman questions if they think they can get away without paying the price, causing the hooded person to confront him for taking pictures of Imezumi, asking if he is unaware of the term privacy. Furthermore, that girl calls out his real name, Yumeki, revealing that he's a former self-defense force officer and a journalist, but now works as a freelance paparazzi. Suddenly, Yumeki feels a sudden pressure behind him, followed by her warning him never to approach Sasaki or sniff around Imezumi either. And if he does the same thing again, he'll know what will happen next. This reminds Yumeki of a rumor about a girl who was going around crushing delinquent groups. Apparently, that girl was a descendant of a family that had been operating since the Edo period. Even though it seems like an absurd story, Yumeki still remembers the name of that family. To confirm this fact, he first agrees to do as she says and asks her name. This comes as a surprise to that girl, but she doesn't hesitate and introduces herself as Shinri. Yumeki then looks at her in terror and figures that he was correct. Nonetheless, he once again tells her that he was planning on stopping the chase anyway, and Shinri seems glad that he's someone who understands his place. After that, she tells the musclehead to escort Yumeki back to his house and gives him some pictures as a token of gratitude for listening to her request. Furthermore, she advises him to focus on capturing topics like this one instead of celebrity scandals, while Yumeki can't believe the picture he's seeing and asks just who on earth are they. The next day at school, Koharu thanked Shinri for her cooperation, saying that the way she jumped off the 4th floor was amazing. The boy who was in a hoodie asks if they are sure about not telling the queen about it, to which Koharu replies that she doesn't want her to be bothered by it. Additionally, Shinri asks if this quick response was because it involves Sasaki, and Koharu reminds them about Sasaki, telling them that she's living a happy life. That is why they need to eliminate those who threaten her happiness, no matter what methods they have to use. Ultimately, she adds that they all owe Sasaki a debt that they can never fully repay. At the same time, the club president finishes up the nurse outfit she was working on and gets praised by both Koharu and Shinri. That night, at 2 am, Karamazaka is struggling to sleep because Hamasaki keeps choking her. Just when she starts to think how Hamasaki is such a rough sleeper, she gets elbowed in the face, followed by Hamasaki's sleep talking about Imezumi touching her jewels a bit too much. At this point, Karamazaka loses her cool and puts a pillow on her face. She doesn't remove it until Hamasaki wakes up, struggling to breathe. The next day, she informs Shinri about wanting to move out because of that and adds that it's really tough for 4 people to live in that rabbit hole. Shinri suggests moving to an apartment building owned by the queen's father, but Karamazaka lets her know that they won't be able to keep this a secret from Imezumi's parents, which is why unless they have a reason to move, it's going to be really difficult. This makes Koharu question if they only need a reason to move, to which Karamazaka agrees, saying that they are having trouble finding that reason. Back home, Karamazaka suddenly hears the word eviction and notices Imezumi talking to someone on the phone. He then informs the girls that they will have to leave the apartment due to some urban development, making Karamazaka think how incredibly lucky she is. Following that, she asks Imezumi if he wants to move to the apartment owned by her dad, letting him know that it's more spacious than this one. But when Imezumi argues that the rent will be higher than their current apartment, Karamazaka reassures him that she'll ask her dad to make the rent cheaper, making the others throw sloppy compliments at her. Imezumi once again asks if it's really okay with making the rent cheaper, and Karamazaka replies that it's totally fine as she wants to move there as well. Both Hamasaki and Sasaki begin getting excited as well and ultimately decide to pay that apartment a visit. Later that day, they arrive at that apartment, and when Sasaki asks if this is where Lisa lives, Karamazaka agrees. She further adds that their room will be next to Lisa's, which makes Imezumi wonder if Lisa is Hamasaki's older sister who came to visit once before. Hamasaki agrees, saying that Karamazaka is also renting a room to her older sister at a super low price. Furthermore, she asks Karamazaka to increase the rent as Lisa seems to be making decent money, causing Karamazaka to mention how merciless Hamasaki can be when it comes to her older sister. Eventually, they enter their new apartment and Sasaki comments on it being the same as Lisa's place. Additionally, she notices that the kitchen is huge, which will make her culinary skills even better. Just then, they witness Imezumi on the floor as he can't believe that this place's rent is even lower than their previous apartment, saying that this is all pretty crazy. Moreover, besides the living room, there are 2 more rooms which are enough for them to live without any problems. Once again, he asks Karamazaka if she is really okay with this, to which she agrees, saying that she wants to move here the most. But as Imezumi continues to argue, she ends up sitting on top of him, wanting him to work even harder at night in exchange. Shocked, Imezumi instantly gets silent, and when Karamazaka asks about his answer, he ends up agreeing. With that being said, they all begin working hard, moving their stuff from the old house to the new one. Eventually, all the preparations for moving are finished, and just when Imezumi is about to say goodbye to his old house, he remembers the first time the girls visited his place along with everything that took place in that house. Hamasaki questions what he's doing and lets him know that if he keeps having those dirty thoughts, they'll leave him behind. Elsewhere, Lisa receives a text from Hamasaki, informing her about them moving next door, which makes her comment that it'll be quite fun. Some days later, Imezumi is enjoying some cup ramen on his own as Hamasaki, and the others are having a girl-only meeting. Before leaving, Karamazaka warned him not to let anyone in, even if it's Lisa. This makes him contemplate whether he should greet her or pretend not to be home. This reminds him of that night when Imezumi was sleeping beside Sasaki and heard Hamasaki conversing with her sister. Apparently, Lisa ended up barging inside their house even when Hamasaki tried to stop her. All this commotion caused Imezumi to wake up, and before long, she entered the room, asking if everyone was doing well. Imezumi freaked out and instantly covered his dull-looking body, asking who she was. Lisa then took a good look at Imezumi and praised his baby face. Additionally, she noticed that he was completely unclothed and had been sleeping next to Sasaki, but he let her know that he was wearing his pants properly. At the same time, Sasaki woke up as well and asked Lisa why she was here. Lisa mentioned that she had heard from Hamasaki that they all were living here and questioned if they were doing the deed every day in this room. Imezumi got flustered and failed to reply properly, making Lisa realize that she was right. Furthermore, she commented on how a big sister like her could tell just from the atmosphere, only to get choked by Hamasaki, who asked Lisa if she had a problem with it. However, Lisa disagreed and asked to join Imezumi's harem instead, but got told to go home already. Imezumi, still unsure, asked Sasaki about that person, who let him know that it was Hamasaki's older sister. While the two of them continued arguing with each other, Karamazaka eventually woke up as well and, with a straight face, told Lisa to go home. As expected, Lisa instantly listened to her landlord and left immediately. Back in the present, Lisa returns from a night out, complaining about how she totally wasted her time. Furthermore, she decides to decline if she's ever invited to another mixer. However, instead of walking home, she takes a look at Imezumi's place and decides to have another drink while chatting with Hamasaki and the others. With that being said, she rings the doorbell, and when Imezumi opens the door, she greets him with a smile. He instantly questions what she's doing here and lets her know that she reeks of alcohol. Lisa let her know that she was at a mixer and thought she'd have drinks at Imezumi's place. Following that, she enters the house, not giving Imezumi any chance to stop her. Elsewhere, Karamazaka tells the other girls that she told Lisa not to lay a hand on Imezumi, but she still can't trust her. Hamasaki agrees, saying that even if Lisa decides not to lay a hand on him, it'll be all over once she gets drunk. Sasaki also adds that Lisa thinks that Imezumi is a cutie and will surely dominate that twig-shaped boy in a drunken impulse. The girls further discuss about them having a friend with benefits kind of relationship with Imezumi, saying that Lisa also wanted to join the last time she visited. Sasaki also comments that Lisa might not be joking and says that it'll be alright as long as they don't let her drink. Meanwhile, Karamazaka thinks hard for a while and mentions that she wishes Lisa to disappear, causing the others to tell her not to joke about that as she's capable of making it a reality. Furthermore, she reassures them that she told Imezumi not to open the door if Lisa appears, but Hamasaki argues that Imezumi won't be able to pretend that he's not home. Karamazaka ends up agreeing with Hamasaki and suggests not leaving his home alone from now on. Sasaki then mentions that if Imezumi can't pretend that he's not home, he could be in danger right now. Little do they know that they are absolutely right, as Imezumi seems to be having a hard time as that MILF has already drained him dry. Before long, the girls end up returning home, and as soon as they open the door, they notice Lisa's shoes, making them realize that they were a little too late. Eventually, Karamazaka opens the door and finds Lisa lying on top of Imezumi, burying him with the 2 planets on her chest. Lisa then suggests heading to her place and continuing there, only to get questioned by Karamazaka about the thing she will be continuing. Shocked, Lisa slowly looks behind and sees Karamazaka staring into her soul. Hamasaki also questions what she is doing while Karamazaka asks if she couldn't understand what she was asked not to do earlier. Lisa replies that she couldn't help it as hearing their happy noises every night was making her excited as well. While the girls are busy arguing with each other, Imezumi uses this chance to slowly sneak away, but gets stopped by Karamazaka, who lets him know that he will be getting punished thoroughly. But when Imezumi asks them about the type of punishment, they start taking off their clothes, letting him know that they will suck every drop of nectar out of him. Furthermore, they decide to put some spirit into this punishment, but after seeing him flustered, wonder why he is looking forward to it. To start things off, Karamazaka tells Hamasaki to hold Imezumi down. She then advises Imezumi to prepare himself for the punishment. Furthermore, Karamazaka reminds him that he was seduced by Lisa and needs to be slowly and properly taught again about who he belongs to. While the two of them have started punishing him, Sasaki reminds Lisa how she really went for it and asks her how long she has had her eye on him. Lisa replies, saying that she thought they wouldn't mind if she had a go at him once. But Sasaki lets her know that it's not what she means and asks Lisa if she made a move on Imezumi because she liked him to some extent, wondering when was the first time it happened. This reminds Lisa of the time when she was hanging out with her friend at a cafe. While talking to her, Lisa started thinking how her friend was talking more than usual and got distracted when she saw Imezumi walking on the street with his friends. She instantly stood up, saying that it's Imezumi, surprising her friend who had no idea what she was talking about. With that being said, Lisa apologized to her friend, letting her know that she would be back in a moment. Even though Lisa managed to follow him, she knew that she wouldn't be able to talk to him because he had company around him, and even if she did, she wouldn't be able to hold up a good conversation for long. Just then, she noticed Imezumi's friends telling him to sing Heavy Snow at the karaoke. when one of the boys questioned this weird request. The baldy replied that he just wanted to hear this song in Amazumi's voice. In the end, Amazumi agreed to sing the song, but this whole situation caused the baldy and the other guy to argue with each other. Lisa also figured that Amazumi is a yes-man type of guy and began walking away, thinking that there's no doubt he's a kind person. However, just as Amazumi started walking away, he stepped on a plastic bag and without thinking much, began putting it inside his bag. When his friends asked the reason, he let them know that it was because the trash was on the floor. The baldy told him that if he kept picking up trash like that, there'd be no end to it, to which Amazumi replied that he at least wants to pick up the trash he stepped on. Lisa was shocked seeing Amazumi pick up the trash and began laughing, barely managing to hide just in time. After taking a sigh of relief, Lisa begins laughing again, wondering why Amazumi is bringing a trash bag around. Nonetheless, she also realizes that Amazumi is being himself and thinks that despite his timid behavior, Amazumi is someone who speaks his mind. At the same time, her friend appears and finds her talking to herself. Back in the present, Sasaki notices that Lisa has already fallen asleep and after waking her up, asks why she decided to make a move on Amazumi. Lisa lets her know that it's because Amazumi has a cute face, which made her curious if he had a cute bedroom soundtrack as well. Even though Sasaki doesn't buy anything Lisa said, she decides to let it be that way for now. Afterward, Lisa suggests doing it again sometime, telling Sasaki to join her as well. She then looks at Amazumi and wonders if the punishment is too hard, but gets told that after the Playboy, it's her turn. Do you think Lisa will ever stop screwing with Amazumi? Comment harem if you'd like part 2 of this series. As usual, thank you for tuning in and we'll catch you in the next one.